Is shoot him? Problem solved. That's what I would do. That's what I think they should. I think they should just fucking shoot him.
Asmongold is a white supremacist. Period. Hard stop. No more commentary. I do not want to hear it. Asmongold, on his stream, called for the mass murder of immigrant children. Why? Because he's white. So, Asmongold, sir, just curious, was your house redlined? Were you pulled over by police officers? Were you called the N-word? Were you there when Alex Preddy died? Were you outside protesting? No? Because you support a white man who defends child molesters, who's actively defending child molesters, and also, you also support a man that led 5 officers to die during an insurrection, while 4 of them committed suicide because of their PTSD. And what else? Oh, you also never rented a black woman because you couldn't stomach the black woman. This is the reason why I'm calling you out, Asmongold. Just so you know, Asmongold has been a huge advocate for ICE. Now, let's dial it back down, Asmongold, since you want to talk about how you said that shooting children, immigrant children, by the way, solves the issue. Let me ask you, when was ever a time that when your daughter was raped by Donald Trump, what would you do? If your mother was home with her 2-week-old son and you were out and about, and yet you found out your mother was being raped, what would you do? Would you stand by and watch it happen? Or would you actually be a fucking father of your children and actually go and defend your mom? You wouldn't, because you couldn't stomach the black woman. Now, let's break it down to 1619, okay? Asmongold, what have people of your color done? Let's break it down. We have A, whipped black people. B, lynched them in trees. C, stolen their native land, which, by the way, America is not our land. This belonged to the Native Americans. C, pretty much we've done everything that is not in the law of God. So, Asmongold, I'm pretty sure your house wasn't redlined because you support a white supremacist in the White House, right? Friendly reminder, this is the same Asmongold that says that raping children is okay because in his eyes, voting for the white man is better. No, it's not. Donald Trump ran on 3 days: Benito Mussolini, Hitler, and white supremacy. Oh, but Donald Trump's better for the girl. No, he's not. Name one war without looking it up. If you look it up, you are a dumbass. Name one war that he settled. The Chinese War? Nope. Vietnam War? Nope. The war between Iraq and Afghanistan? Nope. The Cold War? Nope. World War I? Nope. The Great Depression? Nope. The Great Financial Crisis? Nope. The Boston Tea Party? Nope. Donald Trump did not settle a single fucking thing. He did not. Oh, but he promised me cheap eggs and gas. That's why I support Donald Trump. No, he didn't. He promised no new wars. Yet, look what's happening in Iran, in which that's his pronunciation, by the way. Iran. No, it's Iran. Iran. A-E-I-O-U. The A is silent, dumbass. Anyways. So, question. Asmongold. If your daughter was raped by Donald J. Trump, what would you do? This is his, mind you, this is his reaction. Oh, well, bro, I think I will just shoot him. Oh yeah? You would shoot him? But yet you call for the avocation of mass murder of immigrant children. Doesn't seem like you would be a good father to me anyway. So, let's go back to the Wounded Knee. David Kaepernick, when he took a knee because he was doing something right for the American people, instead of standing up for himself, he standing up for other people. He was called a son of a bitch. He was blackmailed because he was black, because he was not of their color, white. Now let's look at the very instance of why America is quote unquote great. Let's look at the very instance, okay? The vast majority of gun violence. What? Again, the vast majority of gun violence. Predominantly, who? Exactly. White men. The statistics of people defending child molesters. White men. The votings for pardoning Theodore Middendorf, who assaulted a 7-year-old. White men. Who else? Who voted for the lack of health care? White men. Who voted for the Insurrection Act to be invoked? White men. Who voted for tax fraud? White men. Who voted for rape in America? White men. See, Donald Trump, the senators and the congressmen that he has under his fucking boots is not the problem. It's people like you and 76 million other people. Because you couldn't stomach the black woman. That's what this is about. It's not about the price of eggs. It's not about the price of gas. It's not about the price of human decency. It's the difference of fucking morality. You don't have a moral compass. See, I've called out a certain YouTuber who is, like you, advocating for the mass murder of people in Gaza. Kitty Paquita. And because of this, not many people are realizing it. So, because in your eyes that Donald Trump is better for the economy, you would rather support yourself than rather support your fan base. Because you offer money. Let's break down Asmongold's true intentions and his true colors real quick, okay? Asmongold, during his lifespan in 2016, 2020, and 2024, went to the voting booth in 2016, voted for the white man, John McCain, who was decent and who was absolutely a wonderful president. Then, in 2020, there was a election between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Asmongold voted for the white woman, not Barack Obama. Then, last but not least, we have the presidential candidate, Kamala Harris, versus Donald Trump in 2024. Guess which president Asmongold voted for? Exactly. The white man. Because he couldn't stomach the black woman. Oh, well, she's looking way to the top. Oh, I didn't like her laugh. Oh, what about Justice Jackson? I don't know if she's an affirmative action hire. Oh, if the pilot's black, is he qualified? The racist podcaster Charlie Kirk said that on his podcast, and this man, Asmongold, supports it. Because he doesn't give a shit about human life instead of his own life. So he rather blame other people. Oh, they're eating the poison of America. Oh, they're eating your dogs and cats. Oh, look at Hannibal Lecter eating human brains. Oh, look at this person. Look at this person. Look at this person. Look at this person. That's what this is about. That in of itself is the reason why Asmongold supports Trump to this very day. Because he couldn't stomach the black woman. Because he's a racist piece of shit. End of story. End of conversation. That's just all he is. Now, I'm going to play to you the original video of Asmongold calling for the mass murder of children. Okay? Let's look at this real quick, okay? Let's look at this real fast. Okay. Asmongold. Let's see. Asmongold. Nope. Asmongold. Mass. Asmongold immigrant children. Watch. Immigrant children. Oh my god. Immigrant children. Oh yeah, it doesn't show the fucking search thing. Okay? Mind you, Asmongold has gotten banned from Twitch after saying children should be shot. You know? Now, I'm going to say this. Deserved. Deserves. Because he is a loser. He is a white supremacist. Point blank, period. End of story. He's just a piece of shit. He's just a piece of shit. Do you know how much of a shitty person you have to be? Imagine you're Asmongold and you're sitting with 77 million people and they have two crossroads. They have two paths to take. Whether to take eternal life or to take eternal separation. Now, Let's break this down in a biblical aspect. Asmongold went to the crossroads, saw two pathways. One that has many people going to the broad and wider path with twists, turns, deceptions, lies, deceit. And then Asmongold sees the other path, which is narrow and straight, and not many people are in there. But yet the path has a cross on it. The cross that Jesus died from is the bridge. Guess what Asmongold chose? The broader and wide gate, which leads to destruction, because many people find it. That's what Asmongold chose. He chose the store with light shows, and cameras, and decoys, and all that other jazz. This is Asmongold in a nutshell. If you ever see Asmongold in your area, I want you to ask him this question. What did Donald Trump run on? And if he tells you he ran for the economy, tell him you're wrong. He didn't run on the economy. He ran on Benito Mussolini, Hitler, and white supremacy. This is who they are. This is what they are this is what they want the country to be. People like Asmongold, Charlie Kirk, Lindsey Graham, and the Candace Owens, and the Jeff Bezos, and the Nazi Stephen Millers, they're all going to stand before God one day. Now, this is Asmongold when he stands before God. Asmongold, give me an account of what you have done during your life on earth. Well, I mean, I never knew that you existed, but I've always believed that there is a God of higher power. I've always believed that what we are doing was, the wrong thing. But I've called out for mass murder of immigrant children. I did it all in your name, Lord. I've also I own the libs, Lord, because my name's Asmongold, and I own the libs. I own the libs. I pray to you every morning. I give thanks to you every morning. I go to church with my "fuck Joe Biden" and my "Joe and a Hope" bumper sticker. I couldn't sit next to Pete Buttigieg because he was the red line for me. I know I voted for Trump, but I was promised money. Okay, Asmongold. Okay. See these 14 million kids that went to school hungry? Did you talk about them? No? Okay. What about Renee Good and Alex Preddy? Ever talked about them? Ever talked about their deaths? Ever talked about how they sacrificed their lives for me? The same way I sacrificed my life for them? No? Okay. My apologies. Give me a minute. What about aging Carol? Ever talked about that? But God, I own the libs. I believed in you. I loved you, and as a person of faith, I believe that immigrant children should be shot. Because my name's Asmongold and I'm a white supremacist. Yeah. Yeehaw! You could go with Jeffrey Epstein. That's what's going to happen to these people. And they don't realize it. Same with Kitty Paquita. Same with Sped Noodles. Same with SX Dolly, aka Luna, they're all going to stand before God. And they're going to get asked these very questions. Did you do to one of the least of these? Did you talk about Alex Preddy? Did you talk about Renee Good? Did you talk about the 14 million kids that went to school hungry? Did you talk about them? Jesus makes it clear as the king. He says, in as much as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. Now, let's talk about a fellow content creator who's the very opposite of Asmongold, Gia the Dark Angel. She went out of her way because, mind you, the sun was really hot outside. 91 degrees or 97, however you put it. She saw homeless men. She saw homeless men out in the fields, out in the streets, suffering and sweating in the heat. And you know what she did? What Asmongold, what Kitty Paquita, what Sped Noodles, and what SX Dolly Lou will never do. Give in to the poor, give up their worldly possessions, and follow Christ. And that is exactly what Gia the Dark Angel did. In as much as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. And these will go into eternal life, but the unrighteous to eternal suffering. Basically, what that means is that Asmongold wouldn't sacrifice his personal comfort for a stranger. He wouldn't sacrifice his personal comfort for his girlfriend, which he has, by the way. So let me ask you, are you still going to support Asmongold after what I just told you? Because if you do, that's your choice. I'm not going to force you to say no, but just know when you stand before God, don't act like you had a shred of care because you never had on earth. Same with Kitty Paquita. She never had a shred of care for the poor, for the blind, for the quadriplegics, for the autistics, because she only cares about the white man and not the black woman. So, Asmongold, when you stand before God on Judgment Day, tell him the reason why you voted for Trump. Tell him the reason why you went out of your way to ignore the pleas and the cries of immigrant children. Let me tell you the reason why, Asmongold. This is very easy for you to remember. First, they came for the immigrants, but Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33 did not apply to Asmongold, so he ignores them. Then they came for the Jews, but Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33 didn't apply to Asmongold, so he ignores them. Then they came for the Somalians. But again, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33 didn't apply to Asmongold, so he ignores the Somalians. Then they came for the Japanese. Again, same result. He ignores them. Same with the Chinese. Same result, ignores them. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33. For the foreigner that lives among you, that means foreigner, meaning, i.e., immigrant. For the immigrant that lives among you must be treated as if they were one of your own. Love thy neighbor as thyself. For you were also strangers, for you yourselves were born also as strangers out from the bondage of Egypt. And that's why we're here. Because people like Asmongold, Kitty Paquita, and Sped Noodles didn't care about their former immigrants. They only cared about themselves. That's why we're here. So when you see a random quote-unquote Christian, which, by the way, these fake-ass Christians never follow God. They play God. Asmongold, Kitty Paquita, Sped Noodles, and Luna all claim to believe in God, yet neither one of them follows him. They don't care about the value of a homeless man. They care about the content they make off of him. And that is the original sin of this country. White supremacy. White supremacy. So, again, Asmongold. You want to talk about law and order? Okay, let's talk about law and order. You voted for a man that rapes women, who defends child molesters and also is potentially a child molester himself, who is actively defending child molesters, who caused an insurrection which led to the death of 5 officers while 4 of them committed suicide, who questioned the birth of Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Who else? Who said that they're poisoning the blood of America. Oh, well, they're eating the dogs and cats. Oh, they're the Hannibal Lecter. Oh, the black person from Mexico. Oh, look at those people. That's who you are. And that's who you support, Asmongold. This is who Asmongold is in his true colors. He is a white supremacist and a piece of shit. Point blank, period. Hard stop, end of conversation. And to whoever supports Asmongold, you're complicit in this too. You're just as a worse piece of shit than Asmongold is. Because you stood by in your silence, as Asmongold says, the death of immigrant children satisfied him. And that is why we are here as a country. Oh. Now, my apologies, but I'm going to tell you a story. And it's about these 2 stores. And it's about these 2 shopkeepers. One of them was prideful, arrogant, shameless, shallow. And the other was gentle, kind, blessed, and filled with so much anointment. So they built their stores apart from each other. And they built their crossroads, their little pathways from each other. And when they were finished, they looked back, and the prideful man said to the homeless man, "My store is built out of my own hands with pride, because I put nobody before me. No, I put everyone before me. I am the God of my store, and everyone worships my store. I don't know about your store. Yours is dusty. There will be no customers coming to you." And then the shopkeep from the dusty store said, "You may be arrogant, you may be shallow, but know that my store was built with heart. My store was built out of the hands of not my own, but of the hands of another. Someone of higher power came to me and said to build this store with grace and humility." And the arrogant shopkeeper laughed at him, mocked him, and beseeched him that he should tear down his store and leave. So he challenged the arrogant man and said, "Let's see who can have more customers. I declare and decree," he says, "you won't have any customers left." So they went back to their own stores, both of them did, and then they waited off. Then the day came when they put open in their doors. And then the people started coming in. And then the people started lining up towards the golden store with light shows and strobes and all that jazz. There were many people going to that store, but there were less people going to the store that was dusty and filled with all the rags and everything. But then there was one person that went inside of the store and said, "Sir, your store is full of dust. Mind if I clean it for you?" And the shopkeep says, No, it's fine. I can handle it." But then the shopkeep saw that he declined and decided against it. So he cleaned the store. He cleaned everything, the interior and exterior. And then they saw that that store was built with intention, with love and care, that the people that went to the golden store decided to go to the store that was clean and filled with love. And they saw that the items were there, were not expensive, were not as, higher up, So the shopkeep announces, "My items that I give to you is paid with my kindness towards you." And the arrogant shopkeeper of the golden store was mad that one of the members of the golden store decided against the store and went to the store that was cleaner and more filled with love. And he went to them and said, "You generation of vipers, how dare you leave my store to come to this rational dystopian of a store?" And one of the members said, "Because I see potential in this store. I feel that this store was built from the ground up with intention, not with pride or arrogance, much like you have built your store off of." He told them off and he left. And there was a woman who was in that very dusty store, and she said the exact same thing to the man who was prideful. "Your store was built out of pride. Your store will not have any members by the time it is over." So the people went to the others and told them about the store. and said, don't buy from this store. He will pay you only with money. Go to this store instead. This store doesn't require money to get paid. It requires your kindness. For he loves the store, and he loves each and every one of you. And they all were shocked at what the member of the golden store said. So they got out of their own wits and went to the clean store. And they saw that the items that were there were clean and perfect. And they went in and they paid their kindness to the man. That's how Judgment Day is going to be. Either choose the broad and wide gate with twists and turns that leads to destruction, or choose the narrow and straight that has the cross that Jesus was crucified on as the bridge. Which is it? But you don't like that, right? Because that's how you are. You don't like the narrow and straight. You love the broad and wide. You love the arrogant store, Asmongold. You don't love the store that was built off of dust, but then was cleaned. See, friendly reminder to every person that, that watches Kitty Paquita and Sped Noodles. They advocate for the mass murder of people in Gaza. Kitty Paquita herself is a Nazi because she supports Nazi Stephen Miller. She also supports the white supremacist in the White House. Same with Sped Noodles. In their silence, they support the white supremacist in the White House because they couldn't stomach the black woman. And that is why we are here as a country. Donald Trump is not a symptom. He is a feature. The vast majority of white men voted for this. They voted for rape. They voted for tax fraud. They voted for the vast majority of gun violence. You want to know how many people die a year? 150,000 people die a year. And yet nobody talks about their deaths. What you hear from most people that talk about it is thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, my condolences, my condolences, my condolences, instead of talking about the reason why all of these are happening. It's because they couldn't stomach the black woman. First, it was Renee Good, with her last words being, I don't care, I'm not mad at you. And she died for the people, the same way Jesus died for the people. Then there was Alex Preddy, a veteran and a nurse who cared about the people, who cared about loving thy neighbor. He died the very same way Renee Good was dead on. He got shot the same way Renee Good got shot. But he didn't say any last words. He died for the people, not for the country. He died for value, not for content. Then there was Breonna Johnson, a black woman who was shot and killed by a white police officer. Didn't say a word. She knew she died for the people. She knew she was going to die for the people. And she planned to die for the people. The same way Jesus died for the people. Then there's the recent ones. Lorenzo Salgado, who is a Mexican who worked in America for so long. he was also shot and killed. And his last words were, "I tried to stop." And now, the recent killing, Joran Sebastian Guerrero, who had a 3-year-old daughter in the backseat of the car, and ICE just shot him in the head. This is who Asmongold, Kitty Paquita, Sped Noodles, and of course, Luna supports. This is who they vote for in their silence, because they couldn't stomach the black woman. That's why we're here. Part of this country, and 80% of these fake ass predator catchers. Let's start with the fake ass predator catchers first. 80% of these fake ass predator catchers were triggered by a cosplayer giving belt to ass to a child molester. So they went back to content creation and stood by in their silence. Kitty Paquita stood by in her silence. Sped Noodles stood by in her silence. Same with Luna. Stood by in their silence. Asmongold stood by in his silence. As Donald Trump raped E. Jean Carroll, and they never said a thing. The Black Death never said a thing. The Boston Tea Party never said a thing. The American Revolution never said a thing. Because they couldn't stomach the black woman. In the American Revolution, you had people outside saying, "The British are coming. The British are coming." Now, in 2026, you have people outside with whistles, blowing out whistles, saying, "ICE is coming. ICE is coming." See a trend? I certainly do. It is actual history repeating itself. And the reason why Asmongold, Luna, Kitty Paquita, and Sped Noodles don't want to talk about topics like this in their Discord servers is because they don't stomach the black woman. They couldn't stomach the black woman. That, and not only that, they cannot make their fan bases upset. They don't want to be uncomfortable. Asmongold doesn't want to be uncomfortable. Kitty Paquita doesn't want to be uncomfortable. Luna doesn't want to be uncomfortable. Same with Sped Noodles. They don't want to talk about people like Alex Preddy or Renee Good in their Discord servers because that's not their problem. Because Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33 didn't apply to them. So they ignored Alex Preddy, Renee Good, Brianna Johnson, Lorenzo Salgado, and Joran Sebastian Guerrero. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here. And to any of you MAGA, you couldn't stomach Barack Obama because the outside of the White House didn't look like the inside of the White House, right? So you went back to what you know, the plantation owner. And that's the reason why we are here as a country. So Asmongold, when you stand before God, don't act like you had a shred of humanity left. because you never had a shred of humanity while you were still on Earth. This is the kind of people that Trump wants in his regime, people. People like Asmongold, who advocates for the mass murder of immigrant children. Same with Katie Bequita, who advocates for the mass murder of people in Gaza. Spend Noodles and Luna, who stood in their silence and watched Donald Trump win the election because they couldn't stomach the black woman. Oh, she slept her way to the top. Oh, I didn't like her laugh. Oh, she cheated out of her way in high school. But guess what? She was more of a presidential candidate than Donald Trump was. Because she cared about value, not about money. So Asmongold, Luna, Kitty Paquita, and Spend Noodles. All four of them. Asmongold, Kitty Paquita, Spend Noodles, and Luna. All four of them went to the crossroads, looked at money, and said, ka-ching, that's my guy. Instead of value, they looked at money and said, ka-ching. Because they rather make content off of demonizing brown people, demonizing white people, dehumanizing, demonizing, the radical left, the brown people, people from Mexico, the autistics, the quadriplegics. And that's who they go for. That's who they go after. Because they don't care about the value of children. They care about the content they make off of children. Because they would rather serve the god of this world, money, Baal, and Molech, rather the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who sent his beloved Son, Jesus Christ, as God in the flesh, who came down, healed the blind, healed the sick, flipped the tables in Jerusalem, and declared that Jerusalem is the house of God, not a den of thieves. That's who these people support. They rather serve an antichrist built on money than rather serve the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who sent his beloved Son, Jesus Christ, who came as God in the flesh to die for our sins. The Bible warned about this, y'all. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. People will hate one another and fight one another, and many shall be offended. This is why I do this. This is why I only not just spread the gospel of the kingdom of Jesus, but also I call out the wickedness of the entire planet. Because why? Ephesians 5:11, Mark chapter 9, verse 42, Matthew 24, verse 6, Matthew 25, verse 31 to 46. Like, if you don't read the lines, Jesus is the way to salvation. You have Pete Hegseth, who says on Fox News, there's many pathways to God. No, there's not. There's only one way to God, and that is through his beloved Son. Jesus said, and I quote, "I am the way, the truth, the life. No one," meaning not Thor, not Odin, not Poseidon, not Athena, not Aphrodite, not Buddha, not Vishnu, not Muhammad. None of these are the way to the Father except through Christ. Meaning, the first commandment, thou shalt not have any other God before me, for I am the Lord your God. That's what the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said. Jesus is the way to salvation, not Muhammad, not Buddha, not Vishnu. They never got resurrected. Jesus did. Because he cared about others rather than himself. God the Father resurrected Jesus on the third day. Jesus said before he left, destroy this temple, and I will rebuild it up again in 3 days. That's what he said. So, Asmongold, let's break down the type of person you are. You're a degenerate piece of shit who advocates for the mass murder of immigrant children as well as immigrant parents, who supports a white supremacist in the White House, who also defends child molesters, who is actively defending child molesters, who supports the deportation of brown people and Native Americans, who says that killing children is okay in your eyes. That's the kind of piece of shit person you are. And to you, that's okay. Because you couldn't stomach the black one. That's why you said that on your stream on Twitch. And that's why you got banned. Because you promote terrorism. You are a terrorist. You are a terrorist because you support a man that rapes women, that violates the law of immigration, as well as the law of the Constitution. Well regulated, dumbass. And also, Asmongold is the type of person who also supports Charlie Kirk, the racist podcaster who said that dead Americans were worth the cost of the Second Amendment because it was a God-given right. Did God write the Second Amendment? Where does it say in the Bible that God came down and wrote the Second Amendment? Nowhere, right? Nowhere. Because he never did. God sent Jesus. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Jesus came as God in the flesh to die as the sacrificial lamb for all of us. But you don't want to believe that, do you? Because you want to believe the white man. You want white Jesus, not the Jesus that we all know and love. Because again, you couldn't stomach the black one. And that is the reason why we are here as a country. So when you see all these four people, Kitty Paquita, Sped Noodles, Luna, and Asmongold, tell them this. Did America benefit you? I'm pretty sure Asmongold is going to say yes, because Donald Trump ran on the economy. No, the fuck he didn't. He ran on Benito Mussolini, Hitler, and white supremacy. And he brought three things to the table: incarcerations, military spending, and white supremacy. It's all about maintaining white power, maintaining the white male patriarchy. And that is the original sin of this country. Have a white day.